would go in the mist of days, never, never to know.
You know, when I first started singing my own songs that I've written myself, I thought, I can't sing these songs. My voice isn't good enough. I'll need to get somebody else to sing them. When I was very young, my parents told me I had a terrible voice, and that nobody should ever really hear it for singing because I couldn't sing. I remember, I think I was about 10 or 11, and I told my parents, I told my father in particular, that I was interested in music and I might want to do something to do with music. And he said, well, okay, you can have one piano lesson, and if the teacher says that there's no great talent, that's it, you won't go any further. So of course I had one piano lesson. The teacher said, well, it might be okay, but there's no obvious sign of any great talent, and that was that. Everything else was forbidden. I was told I needed to become a historian and have a career, or maybe be an antique dealer or a lawyer or an accountant or something else, a doctor, something to earn money. And then a few years later, I was on holiday with my mother. My father stayed at home. He was having some relationships with women in Soho and stuff where he had a shop. And my mother and I went off to, I think, Forte dei Marmi in Italy. And I met a young man, his sister, about my age. And I said, oh, I want to put on a dramatic performance for our parents. And I put on a sort of dramatic performance with this boy who I'd made friends with, playing Alexander the Great, and lying as the dead Alexander the Great, with all his troops mourning him, etc. Except I was the troops mourning him. And I sang this funeral dirge. The boy's mother complained because she said he didn't have a big enough part and I did all. But anyway, I sang this funeral dirge, and my mother said it was terrible. And I remember her turning to the other boy's mother and saying, he's absolutely terrible. Nobody should ever hear him sing. And this hit me so hard. It hit me harder with my mother saying that than with my father, really. It was devastating. I had a very special relationship with my mother. And I thought, well, if she said that, because I knew my father could be very cruel to me sometimes, but my mother, at least superficially, was always very loving and supportive. And I thought, well, if she thinks that, it must be true.
If I loved you,